Hello there, this is the first part of a two-part video about my experience in hotel quarantine in Australia. I will be giving you a general overview of what it's been like for me.
Please keep in mind, not complying with quarantine requirements may result in enforcement action ranging from substantial fines.
There's a view down to the street.
And or a term of imprisonment. If you're experiencing symptoms of COVID-19 such as fever, coughing, sore throat, fatigue or shortness of breath, please let a government official know right away.
Blood. So that you know what to expect if you are contemplating a return journey back to Australia from overseas. And the second part, which I link below, is all about what I wish I'd known and what I'm glad that I prepared for. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. So let's get onto it. I am now in my second week of my mandated 2-week quarantine. I remember I was in Lisbon and I was feeling quite apprehensive about what hotel quarantine would really be like and not being able to find that much information online. So this video will be answering all those burning questions, such as, do they really lock you in a bedroom for 2 weeks? Can you open the window? What's the food like? Who pays, for example? But before I get into the video, I'll just say that my experience has actually been quite positive. Oh, nice. I've put in place some strategies so that the day would go quite quickly and pleasantly even. From the 29th of March this year, 2020, because of the global pandemic, all international arrivals into Australia must complete a 14-day self-isolation period in designated facilities. And so those designated facilities are hotels. At least that's been the case so far. In my case, I live in Brisbane, but the Qantas flight available from London, which is the closest place to Lisbon, only flew to Melbourne. And because Melbourne is the city of arrival, Melbourne is the city where I have to complete the 14 days of quarantine. And once those are completed, they take me to the airport for a flight to Brisbane. I'm not sure, but judging by their instructions for online retail orders, they give you the addresses for the various hotels. So it looks like there are 10 quarantine hotels: Crown Promenade, Crown Metropole, 4 Points by Sheraton, Holiday Inn Melbourne Airport, Melbourne Marriott Hotel, which is this one, Novotel Melbourne South Wharf, Pan Pacific Hotel, Park Royal Melbourne Airport, Ridges on Swanston, and Stamford Plaza Melbourne. Only Australians or Australian residents are allowed back into Australia unless you get a special exemption. So I'm an Australian and I'm also Portuguese, so I have dual citizenship, and I was in Lisbon since February this year. I'd gone there to attempt to sell a property that then didn't take place because of the state of emergency that was imposed there in mid-March. I was seeing footage on TV about people in airports crowding together and just basic mayhem, and I postponed my flight, not realizing that all flights would be cancelled. So then I was kind of stranded in Lisbon until quite recently, so now I'm talking in May in Melbourne. By the way, if you'd like to see how I survived Lisbon in lockdown, be sure to check my other videos on this channel. So that series is going to be called State of Emergency in Lisbon. Me talking to the camera, but also lots of street footage, the usual sort of dystopian streetscapes. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so that as I upload those videos, you can come back and watch them. It was a bit of a wrestle trying to find a flight. My sister-in-law here in Australia, she was the one who sent me an email saying that Qantas now had more flights. And I went immediately online to see whether I'd be able to get onto those flights, and not only that, to see whether I'd be able to get accommodation in Heathrow. By that time, hotels had opened for reservations. And then the next day, I took the bus back to the airport, to Heathrow, and I got onto the Qantas flight. There weren't that many people. They will interview you about whether you have been feeling any symptoms. They will take your temperature. You will be told that you will need to wear a mask during the flight, and basically waited until we boarded. It was a flight from London to Melbourne via a very short refueling stop in Perth and then straight to Melbourne. So a total of about 22 hours. They had warned us that food service would be limited. They served 2 meals between London and Perth. And the first meal was so little that I thought, oh, it just looked to me like not that much at all. Yeah, you need to wear your mask at all times except when you're eating or drinking. And they had warned us that there would be no in-flight entertainment, but something that they did not tell you is that they will not be providing you with blankets or pillows, cushions. Be prepared for that because it can get quite chilly in the flight for so long and you're not moving. And another thing about not moving is that the cabin crew will tell you you're to stay in your seat. The plane was very empty. I don't know if it was empty on purpose, as in maybe people tried to book and they couldn't. They had reached a capacity, or because it was just simply not that many people had booked. You go through border security as normal, you pick up your bag, and then you're basically faced with several stations where you need to fill out some forms. But it was all very quick, because there was not that many of us. You don't exit the airport into the normal arrivals area. You exit the airport via the back. We were taken to the buses at the back somewhere. Then those buses were escorted out of the airport grounds. They drove us directly to Melbourne and into the Marriott Hotel. There was a lot of police out here, and we had this grand arrival into the hotel. We were told to exit the bus. You check in and then you answer questions about symptoms, and your temperature gets measured, and you sign a detention notice, which is a piece of paper you keep that tells you the release date. You don't actually get escorted into the room itself. You get into the lift, but someone, a security guard, presses the number of your floor for you, and then you go up to your level and then get into the room. So I just got into my hotel room. This is it. Let me see. Oh, okay. Looks quite big, doesn't it? It's a mirror. Hello. It's a nice desk. Oh, there's kind of a kitchen thing. This is good. Let me see out here. Can I open the window? Probably not. Can't even open the curtain, let alone the window. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah. Oh, there's a view down to the street. So your first burning question might be, will I have to pay for my quarantine in a hotel? And the answer is no. The Australian government will pay for your 2-week quarantine with 3 meals a day. You don't have to pay for anything, although of course you can pay for some extras if you want different meals or better meals, I guess. So in this particular hotel, that is a Marriott in Melbourne, you will be able to order in-room service at a cost. Your next question might be, do I really get locked into a bedroom for 2 weeks? And the answer is basically yes, I'm afraid. You don't get locked as such. The door is not actually locked from the outside. You can open it at any time, but there are 2 guards stationed at each end of the corridor out there. They wouldn't let you get away, I don't think. Basically, yes, you will be in your room, but you are allowed a fresh air session every week. So you get 2 fresh air sessions. And in this hotel, my experience has been that the fresh air session has been in a small terrace. And in my case, it was in the evening, but it was still fresh air. And it lasted for about 15 minutes. And you get 2 of those during your stay. But you are mostly 99% of the time in your bedroom. They drop your meals just outside the door where you'll be picking them up. After they have put down every meal at everyone's door, they go round and knock on the bedroom doors, and then they sort of flee into the elevator so that they're not exposed to us opening the door to get at our meals. And your next burning question might be, will the window open? And the answer, I'm afraid, is no. In this hotel, at least, you can't open any of the windows. I don't think you can even open the windows in the lower floors. I might be wrong. I don't get to talk to any of the other guests, so I'm not sure what they're experiencing. But certainly this window I can't open, and I don't know if you can see it. It's double glazed. Even if I could open this first pane of glass, I wouldn't be able to open the next pane of glass. But I was lucky that I have a window that faces the street, and I quite enjoy that because I know that there are some bedrooms that face the back of the hotel, and I wouldn't enjoy that as much. So they will actually ask you if you have any preferences when you first arrive at the airport as far as accommodation or your room, and I wrote down that I'd like a room with a window that opened. Maybe because of that they gave me a window that faces the street. So if you're someone who would enjoy a window that faces the street, make sure you put that in your preferences, because they're not likely to give you a window that opens, but they will give you a window that faces the street if such a room is available. Your next burning question will be, what's the food like? So my answer to that is that it will be fine. I'm the type of person who is not fussy at all with food. I have very few dislikes as far as food is concerned. The food is delivered in little cardboard containers, and it arrives already lukewarm or colder than lukewarm. So even when it's meant to be hot food, you won't actually be getting hot food as such. You'll be getting a lot of chicken, so if you don't like chicken, you might be a little bit hungry. You can have a dietary requirement if you're a vegetarian, say, but I chose just a regular diet because I don't have any dietary requirements, and also I've thought that maybe it would be better because they're better equipped for a regular diet rather than a specific diet. But if you have any food allergies or requirements, they can cater for that. We'll try our best to cater to specific health needs and food allergies. However, lifestyle choices such as paleo, Atkins, or food dislikes cannot be catered for. So I think you should be prepared for the fact that maybe they might think that being vegan is a lifestyle choice rather than a dietary requirement. The hotel is 100% non-smoking. It's $1,000 per day if the alarm goes off. You do get to smoke when you go for your fresh air session. I guess they can't stop you, it's in the fresh air. And I noticed an ashtray there that had some cigarettes. You are allowed a bag of laundry every couple of days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I haven't used that service, so I don't know how it would work. But I expect that you would put out a bag of laundry. They do supply you with rubbish bags, and I believe you would use the same bag and they would pick it up and then, I guess, deliver it back to you. They can't cater for taste though, because in the form they say you can't say what you don't like. I considered saying that I'm lactose intolerant, but I was afraid that they wouldn't give me any milk at all. It said in a form it has to be a medically diagnosed intolerance, so I was afraid that I'd have to show some kind of certificate. They have given me actually a lot of milk, which is surprising. I mean a lot of milk. Surprising because we don't get that much cereal to eat with it. Only occasionally they give us cereal for breakfast. And also, there's only so much milky tea and milky coffee you can drink. So basically, it's well known that lack of exposure to sunlight leads to vitamin D deficiency, which in turn makes you vulnerable to catching viruses, and they have made that connection with this particular virus. I'm filming now at about 3 p.m. There's some light out there, but I'm basically in the dark, and if I didn't have the lights turned on, I wouldn't be able to see that much. So you get 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch and dinner. So breakfast will be delivered after dinner at about 6:30 p.m. They will drop off the breakfast for the next morning. And I think that's fantastic, because that means they won't be knocking on your door at, 7 a.m. And also, because you will be jet lagged, you might actually be ravenous during the night, like awake, and so you'll want something to eat between dinner time and morning time. So breakfast doesn't actually look fantastic. It can look quite minimal, but often, not every day I've noticed, but at about 9 a.m. they deliver a second breakfast, which is usually an egg dish. So sometimes it's literally an egg minus the dish. Your next birthing question might be whether you actually get a coffee, a real coffee. Australians really like their coffee, their flat whites, their cappuccinos. I know I do. So I was wondering about that. And the answer is no. So you will be getting coffee bags, at least I got coffee bags, and they're Moccona instant coffee. If you want to pay for it, you can pay for it. So that's one of the extras. In this hotel, they provide an in-room dining menu, which is left out for you to peruse. And so you register your credit card with reception, and then you can basically order a few things, not that many, but a few things, but coffee is among them. And the small coffee in this hotel is is $4 and a large coffee is $5. So when I opened that drawer for the first time, I remember being quite happy to see some coffee packs there, little coffee bags. But what I didn't realize at the time was that they were all decaf. And it only occurred to me to check when I was taking a photo of the little packet for the purpose of this video. And then that's when I realized I was not only drinking instant coffee, but I was drinking decaf. So I had a low-grade headache for at least the first 4 days until I finished the decaf. And then I asked downstairs at reception if they could send me some more little packets. And fortunately, they sent these guys, which are not decaf. So they've been really good. I mean, yeah, I got used to them. So now you're wondering, why don't I just order a real coffee, especially because I'm in Melbourne, coffee capital of the planet. They do just fantastic coffee in Melbourne. I guess the main reason that I don't buy a coffee is not that it costs $4, that's actually just a normal price, but because I'm pretty sure that the hotel restaurant is closed. Someone would have to get it from somewhere. I think it would probably arrive here pretty cool down. And you can also order beers and soft drinks. You can order a beef burger, chicken burger, steak sandwich. And there's also a kids menu. So if you're traveling with children, well, you'll be getting chicken nuggets. I don't think you want more chicken. Beer battered fries and desserts. So they're not big on desserts. They might give you a tiny little slice of cake. They do give you a few treats and snacks when you first arrive. It's a minuscule chocolate. Still, it's nice, isn't it? To have some snacks. Tiny teddies. I used to put those in my kids' lunch boxes. So yeah, that's quite good. I think I consumed those treats in the first 4 days, and once they're finished, they're finished. So something that I haven't mentioned is that you can online shop, for example, just even for groceries, so that if you need something like paper towels or your favorite herbal tea, you can go online and order from your supermarket. It's kind of a rigmarole. There's quite a few steps that you need to do because the whole delivery into a quarantine hotel has a few steps. They need to be told that it's a quarantine hotel and so on. And you can also get Uber Eats between certain times. You really can't say that you don't have everything you need. So I guess initially the main challenges will be facing 2 weeks without fresh air, without being able to open a window. It's not that you have a feeling that the room is not ventilated. That's not the case. There is air conditioning, so you don't get the feeling that the room is stuffy as such. Those 2 fresh air sessions that they allow you in your 2-week stay, in my case they were in a very small terrace, smaller than the bedroom itself. And sorry, I've just noticed that they've put a form under my door, so I'm going to see what it is. It's just a newsletter. Oh no, it's actually, they do give you a newsletter every couple of days, but this is all about the test that I'm due to take tomorrow again. You get taken into this small terrace. The terrace is smaller than this bedroom. You're escorted by a security guard. Again, you're not allowed to touch anything. You're not allowed to touch the elevator buttons. And you're taken into a bedroom in the lower floors, and those bedrooms have exterior terraces. So I paced back and forth for a little while and breathed in the fresh air, and the security guard allowed me to pull down my mask so that I could breathe the fresh air. On day 3 and on day 11, you will be asked to take a test, a COVID-19 test. 2 nurses knocked on my door and one of them administered the test. It was not a very nice experience. I don't know if I was just a little bit unlucky about how unpleasant it was, or whether it's just purely unpleasant, but I know that I did bleed from my nose. Oh God!
These are their stories.
That was really, really bad. Blood. Tomorrow I'm due for my second test, so tomorrow is day 11 for me. I'm sort of hoping that the second time won't be as bad. Arriving from Europe, where in my case it was 10 hours difference. Jet lag will be compounded, I think, because you won't be able to experience fresh air or feel the sun in your skin. There's a window of opportunity that I have noticed when sunlight streams in. I figured that out, and I felt a little bit like Papillon in the movie with Steve McQueen, where he's looking out at the tides. I was figuring out what time exactly does sunlight stream in to my bedroom here. It streams in between those buildings back there, between exactly 10:20 a.m. to 10:50 a.m. That way, your body gets triggered into realizing that it's daytime. Another thing that I have done, and I'm so glad that I've done, is that I have kept up exercising. I have been able to do that in this bedroom here because it's quite a large bedroom in a way. It's at least 12 meters from here to the front door, and then you can go into the bathroom for a little spin. I know from experience that 10,000 steps equates to about 1 hour of fast stepping in place or just jogging around the place. The hotel also gives you a sheet with recommendations about some exercises that you can do. One challenge that I personally had to face was pain in the bum, literally. What happened with that was, in a Qantas flight from London to Melbourne via Perth, it's basically a 22-hour flight, and you're sitting there for 23 hours, say, in the same seat. And they do tell you, as I said before, not to move in your cabin. And then a nurse dropped off some Panadol for me.
Well done. That's it. All good.
So I've been informed that I will be provided with a release notice 24 hours before I'm due to leave. I will need to carry that release notice back into Queensland, and I will need to show that on arrival, as well as proof of my Queensland residency, which will be my driver's license.